Hi, and welcome to Godsmarts. I'm Keith Campbell, independent bishop with the Home Temple, and today I'd like to ask the question, what kind of diet would Jesus eat? In the New Testament, Jesus speaks of eating fish and preparing the fatted calf. But if we look way back to the beginnings of Christian history, we find there was a major debate on this topic. Some of the Jerusalem Christians, called Ebionites, were ethical vegetarians. And their version of the scriptures taught that Jesus was too, as was Peter. Many of the early church fathers, such as Tertullian, Origen, Clement of Alexandria, Basil the Great, John Chrysostom, were all pacifists and vegetarians. But even if we're going to take all our scriptures literally and insist that Jesus ate some sort of meat, there's a question as to whether he'd eat meat today. Why? Let's look at some of the facts. In Palestine 2,000 years ago, most people ate plant food most of the time. Where there were abundant sources of fish, people ate fish. And among the people who lived in the steep hills and valleys of Palestine where the ground was too difficult for agriculture, there was still enough forage for sheep and goats. These provided wool, milk, and on very special occasions, meat. But even so, there were still a significant group of people who were ethical vegetarians and didn't eat meat products. Okay, so fast forward to present day. And in a modern meat farm, cattle aren't allowed to forage for grass. No, they're fed grain to get them fatter quicker. A lot of grain. Today, in the United States, of all the grain we produce, 70% of it is fed to meat animals. Half of our drinkable water is used for watering, washing down, and processing meat animals. And of our antibacterial and antimicrobial agents like antibiotics, 90% of them are injected into meat animals. And this model of the industrial production of meat is being exported to the rest of the world. In modern Brazil, huge parcels of land that were once rainforest have been burned to the ground, and over 80% of the newly cleared land has been used for commercial beef production. Not only does this hurt the climate by destroying rainforests, but every cow added to the planet expels as much as 100 gallons of methane per day. And methane gas traps heat 23 times as well as carbon dioxide. Cattle are more responsible for global warming than all of the cars, planes, trains, trucks, and buses of the world combined. So, what about fish? The world's oceans have become drastically overfished, and yields are declining or crashing. Commercial fishing fleets scour the oceans with huge nets that also capture and kill sharks, dolphins, turtles, thousands of non-target animals. As world population grows and demand for fishing increases, it becomes harder and harder to keep favorite species from extinction. Some species have been adapted to farming. More than 40% of the fish eaten today come from farms, from tanks and tubs and concrete enclosures in crowded, dark, sometimes filthy conditions where many of them die before reaching market size. Meanwhile, the ocean fish absorb toxic mercury from the oceans. Fully a quarter of all the fish tested have mercury levels greater than the safety levels established by the EPA. Pregnant women are now advised to limit their consumption of fish. And speaking of health, avoiding modern animal products completely drastically reduces our weight, blood pressure, cholesterol, and our chance of getting diabetes, as well as having a heart attack, stroke, or being diagnosed with cancer. So in today's world, what would Jesus eat? Would he really pick a diet that's literally destroying the planet as well as the health of everyone who eats it? Would he pick a diet that steals the land from the poor to feed the rich? Would he really approve of using most of the grain, cereals, and water to grow cattle? Cattle that are so unhealthy and unnatural that they all require routine doses of antibiotics just to survive till butchering? Would Jesus really support a system of forcing animals to live out short, miserable lives ending in fear, panic, and torture? Or were the Ebionites closer to the truth about Jesus? If you're ready for a radical look at Jesus' message, allow me to recommend Keith Akers' book, The Lost Religion of Jesus: Simple Living and Nonviolence in Early Christianity. And now for some practical matters. We live in an age when being a vegan is just a minor inconvenience. The same industrial machinery that's killing billions of animals a year could also be used to make meat, dairy, and egg substitutes, some of which can't be easily distinguished from the real thing. Besides which, there are hundreds of recipes in every culture that are authentically vegan and fantastic. If you aren't yet ready to commit to veganism, try the Weekday Vegetarian program. Watch this talk by Graham Hill, who wanted to do something but wasn't yet ready to give up his meat weekends. Now, some of you may know that I recently suffered a major stroke and am only back on my feet thanks to a miraculous recovery. I've been experimenting with veganism here at home and relying on help from folks such as the Crazy Australians, Freely the Banana Girl, and Durianrider here on YouTube, as well as others in the community. So, look around, find out more, and take a step in the right direction. Until next time, I'm Keith Campbell for Godsmarts. See you soon.